Hi guys, welcome back to Module 1, looking at ore and walkability analysis. So the previous videos, we have looked at setting up our map for walkability analysis. In the previous video, we specifically looked at generating catchment for a specific area to create outputs of walkability analysis. So as explained in the previous video, we looked at creating two different trims or buffers for the walkability analysis. One of them is a smaller trim, which was 10, and one is a larger trim, which is 30. So once we display our data here, we're going to look at how that change in trim affects the kind of data you can visually see on this map. So our data, our output data for walkability has come into our data panel here on the right-hand side. So the top one here that my mouse is over right now, that's the one with the 30 trim. And the one at the bottom, so that's the one with the 10 trim, and the one below it is the one with the 30. We want to click on the little wrench or spanner here. So if we click on that, it gives us more things that we can actually change. It gives us more options. So here we can do things like download a CSV file, download a shape file, a GeoJSON file, remove the data set, rename, and zoom to the actual layer if we can't find the data, if we're zoomed out quite a bit. And edit the actual attribute as well. What we want to do here though is we want to select the third option in these settings, which is the display on map option. So we left mouse click to select, and what we see is this edit chart graph / map dialog box. In here, we can do things like change the fill color of our data. So again, it's going to come up as geometry. So this is going to come up as line data connecting points. So I might make this a cool, nice kind of blue. I do like the color blue. So I might make that a blue like that and go apply. I can do things here like change the fill opacity. So if I want it to be fully opaque, so you can't see anything behind it, I'll make that a value of 1. I might want it to be completely transparent, so I'll make it a value of 0. I'm going to pop this just somewhere in the middle. I think that's quite nice. I like to be able to see a bit of the background with whatever data that I've got overlaying. You then change the stroke / line opacity. So you might just want to see an outline of the lines and not actually a fill pattern. This is specifically handy for the data that we created, which has a 30 trim, because detailing the outline instead of the fill will kind of show us more like a pedestrian path that you could walk across. And we'll see that in a second. For this case though, the 10 trim, we're just going to keep this as is. So once I'm happy with the way I've configured my settings for displaying this data on my map, I'm going to go update and display. And you can see our walkability data. So as my mouse passes over, you'll notice it highlights, and this is Triantis Station. So this is from Triantis Station. If you walked 500 meters, where would you be able to go? So we zoom in. So from Triantis Station, if we were to walk 500 meters, we would get to these specific locations. So you can see where you can actually end up. So what's great is from Triantis Station, you can actually access some green space, which is close by, some parkland, gives you good connection to some of the main roads and streets. It gives you connection to Melbourne Road, which is one of the main roads. And now if we come down here, we zoom in. This is Armadale Station. As you can see in the bottom right corner here, once I hover my mouse over my data, it says Armadale Station. So this is showing from Armadale Station outwards in 500 meters, where do we go? And Armadale is a really well-connected suburb. So you can see the difference between walkability from Triantis Station outwards and the walkability from Armadale Station outwards. Armadale's got actually this King's Arcade here that leads from the Armadale Station, and that connects you straight to the main road, which is a really easy, quick way to be connected to everything else around the station. So interesting to note. And then here we have Melbourne Station. As you can see, not quite as much connection. It takes a little longer to get to places. The roads are not as well connected. So it's also very interesting to note that. then you've got the Melbourne train depot station, and it's a bit of a different story there, a lot more connection. There's more of a grid layout there. So you can see how this very simple way of gathering data and displaying it in Auron can show you some really good kind of key insights quite quickly for walkability analysis within specific areas. Now this was done using a 10 trim. So if we're going to want to display that 30 trim, let's take a look at how that becomes a little different. So we're going to go to the spanner here, display on map. And we're going to choose a different color so that we make sure that we can see the difference between the 30 trim and the 10 trim. So let's make this something that will stand out still. We might make this a nice green. We'll go make this green here. Apply, and we'll go update and display. So as you can see, the 30 trim is a much bigger buffer space. So what it shows you is kind of as you walk along this street, what are the adjacent kind of buildings or green spaces that you can easily access from walking down these streets. So it kind of gives you more information on accessibility, kind of a secondary layer of walkability. You know, you've got your initial street walkability, which was with that 10 trim, and then this 30 trim shows you a secondary layer of walkability. So once you go down this street, what are the small little paths or doors that you can walk through to enter different amenity? So by having these two things, these two types of trim and comparing the data, you are able to kind of see more of a micro and macro scale walkability, or primary and secondary level of walkability analysis. So up here as well, orange shows things in a little key or legend. So it shows you the colors and where and what they mean and what data they're showing. So it's really helpful as well. Auron's really good at automating some of these processes. So slow. We've got this HD filter style. It's really motion. It's like a filter on. Fantastic. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Over, Roger. Roger, can you hear me? Yes, Roger. Yes. Walkability tests and all. Yes. Alright, I'll just chuck this information in. What the fuck? Upload data. Data. That's the GeoJ thing that popped in. What? Okay. Go away, little thing. So that's how we can visualize our data in Aurum. In the next video, we're just going to be looking at how we can not only visualize things within Aurum, but we can export the data from Aurum and place it into other mapping tools.